ladies, happy Wednesday. You're halfway through the week. That is exciting because halfway to the weekend. Let me give just a second or two, see if anybody's going to jump on here live with us. We are going to talk today about what happens in our body when we have been eating not enough calories or too low. Our calories have been too low for too long of a period of time. And I am sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that is a lot of you. A lot of you are not eating enough on your regular day-to-day. And that is definitely impacting you reaching your goals, particularly any weight loss goals. So we'll go ahead and get rolling here. So again, we're going to talk about what happens when you don't eat enough for too long. So calories, we love them. We love to hate them. They're pesky little things. If you want to lose weight, people are like, oh, just eat less calories. That's it. Right? It's so simple. So it's not. And if people want to say it's just a matter of calories in and calories out, and that's really not the case. On the surface, yes, sure, calories in, calories out. However, it's a whole lot more complicated than that, and we really need to understand what's happening internally to know how to kind of navigate the whole journey. So if it were so simple as just eat less food, then we wouldn't have so many people struggling to lose weight, right? It would just be like, oh, well, I'll just eat less for a little bit and then everything will be great. So we know that that's not true. So that's what we're here for today. The last time I checked, which actually has been a while, so I will need to go back and do another tally on my records. But the last time I checked, 92% of the women that I work with were not eating enough food when they came to me. 92%, almost everybody comes to me under eating. And so as a nutrition coach, what I need to do with that is, I mean, think about it. If they're already not eating enough food, does it make sense for me to lower their food? No, like we get into this issue where it becomes unsafe. So when these ladies come to me not eating enough food, and yet they're still not seeing any progress as far as their goals, fat loss or weight loss goals. So that's where I come in. So I'm going to kind of explain to you a little bit today of what I do and how we sort of navigate through that. So the reason we have so many people not eating enough, but still also not losing weight, is a thing called metabolic adaptation. So what that is your metabolism is going to adapt to whatever consistent level of calories that you're eating, as well as it adapts to your level of lean body mass. So your muscle, how much muscle is on your body. Those are the two big keys that we need to take away from this. So what I'm saying is that when you lower your calories to try to enter a calorie deficit to try and lose weight, your metabolism immediately begins to adapt and it slows down. Now, it's only a little bit at a time. You're not going to notice tomorrow all of a sudden your metabolism has adapted low. So basically what it is okay, so I'm going to try to make sure I'm staying in the screen here. So here's where you're eating. Let's say you are eating an adequate amount of calories right now, which, remember what I said up above, 92% of my ladies are not. But let's pretend for a minute that you are. Some of you maybe are. So you're eating enough food. Here you are. Here's your metabolism. Everything's great, except you're not losing weight, right? So you want to go into a calorie deficit. You want to lower your calories so that you can lose weight. So you drop your calories. Your metabolism is chilling up here. You might notice immediately a little bit of weight loss. Half a pound, maybe 2 pounds. 2 pounds per week is pretty significant. So that's the other thing. Y'all got to be patient. Be patient with losing weight. Half a pound a week is fantastic. Don't get down on that. So you drop your calories, your metabolism is chilling, but slowly, almost unnoticeable amount, your metabolism begins to meet that level of calories where you currently are. So what also happens when you enter a calorie deficit and you notice the scale maybe going down It's not just fat. I'm sorry to tell you, you're losing muscle as well. In a calorie deficit, it's only natural to lose some muscle. So what is happening is you may end up, if you stay at this low level of calories for a long time and your metabolism has met it, you've also been losing muscle, which lowers your metabolism even more. So now look what's happening. My calories are here. I've lowered them, but they're still higher than my metabolism because number one, I spent too much time not eating enough food. Number two, I've also lost muscle. So now you're in this situation where you're eating 1,400 calories, which is entirely too low, by the way, for most people. But your metabolism is now down here. So what are you going to do? So you get to this point, yay, you're happy, your metabolism is here, everything's great, you're losing weight. This happens. Okay, this is the dreaded plateau that everybody talks about. You hit a plateau because your metabolism has adapted down to that low level of calories. So it's only a little bit at a time, but it's happening. So nobody likes the plateau. Everybody hates the plateau. We all complain. What do? I hit a plateau. So you're already in a calorie deficit. You are already eating too low. Not too low, but you're already eating lower because you're in a deficit. You are also losing that muscle because in a calorie deficit, it is natural for your body to start using some of that muscle for energy because it's not having enough energy coming in from your food because we're in a calorie deficit. So we need to be really careful when you get on that scale and celebrate that lower number. That's weight loss. Remember, if some of you were watching any of my lives from before, a few weeks ago, I talked about how weight loss is not the same as fat loss. Weight loss is literally just that. A lot of people who, like, if you do photo shoots and things like that, all these influencers on Instagram and whatever, they cut their water for like a day or two to drastically low levels to literally dehydrate their body. And that's called weight loss. Clearly, that's not healthy. So weight loss, fat loss, not the same. They are not synonymous. So I was actually just listening to a podcast this morning, which was funny because of our topic today. But Mind Pump is the podcast. If any of you listen to it, or if you don't listen to it, it's a fantastic one. They have tons and tons and tons of great information on health and fitness. But on today's episode of Mind Pump, Sal, one of the guys on there said, we can cut off your leg and you can lose 20 pounds, but that's not the way we want to lose weight, right? So we want to make sure we're losing it in the right way. We want to try to mitigate the muscle loss so that it enhances the fat loss. So a couple of ways you can do that. Number one is strength training. That's not going to be new to anybody who's been in this group for any length of time. Strength training is almost the answer, or is the answer to almost every question that I get asked. How to maintain fat loss, strength training. The best way to lose fat, strength training. The best way to increase my metabolism, strength training. So strength training can be body weight, it can be bands, it can be Pilates, it can be lifting, it can be all sorts of things. And I don't mean the 3-pound dumbbells for 100 reps, y'all. I'm talking about go lift heavy. Heavy for you. What's heavy is relative. Heavy is different for everybody, but challenge your muscles. Get some stress under those muscles. So anyway, strength training is one way to counter that. You will lose less muscle in a calorie deficit by strength training. You'll be maintaining that muscle. And the second thing is to eat a high protein diet. So high protein, we've talked about this in some lives in the past too. When we say high protein, we're talking about roughly 0.7 up to maybe 1 whole gram of protein for every pound of body weight. So if you are maybe only a little bit overweight or of average weight, that's the ratio you want to do. If you are considerably overweight, if you are classified in the obese category, then you will want to do that 0.7 or 0.8 up to 1, so 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, or 1 whole, times your ideal body weight. And I don't mean the weight you wish you were. I mean ideal, look it up on a chart, medically ideal. So that's how much protein we need to be eating. So high protein. If you have that protein coming in, your body's going to use less of your muscle protein for energy. So strength training, high protein diet will help keep you from losing muscle. So when you're at this point where you've hit that plateau of your calories and your metabolism, you're less likely for that metabolism to drop lower because you have maintained some of your muscle. Okay, you see why this is important. So less muscle means a slower metabolism, more muscle, faster metabolism. So your options at this point, when you hit this plateau period, your options at this point are to either eat less food, which I never, ever, ever recommend. If you're already in a deficit, if it's a considerable deficit, eating less is not really an option. You're going to end up with nutrient deficiencies and everything else. And it's just going to make your metabolism go even lower, right? You're digging yourself a hole that you're going to have a really hard time getting out of. So your other option, what I always recommend, is eat more food. So you want to increase your calories for a period of time. So a calorie deficit should be cycled up and down. It's not a place where we should live. So I always recommend about 8 to 12 weeks in a calorie deficit. And after about 12 weeks, if you are still making good progress in your deficit and you're noticing fat loss, remember, not weight loss, fat loss, pants are fitting smaller. If you're taking measurements, your measurements are getting smaller. All of these kinds of things, not just the weight on the scale. The weight on the scale is... there's a live a couple months ago, I called the scale as a lying bitch. The scale lies, friends. So do not just trust your scale. Make sure you're taking measurements and have other ways to tell if you are actually having fat loss. So if you're still having good fat loss after about 12 weeks, you can extend it for a few more weeks. I would never, ever, ever, ever go more than 16 weeks. I find that 12 weeks is kind of the sweet spot. After you've eaten in your deficit for 12 weeks, 8 to 12, you can cut it short if you need to. Then what you want to do is increase your calories up to what we call a maintenance level. And your maintenance level is back to where you were prior. It's a place where you're no longer losing weight. It's a place where you're probably not gaining any weight either. And so it's just kind of that happy space. You're going to notice an increase in strength. You're going to notice better sleep. You're going to notice better digestion. You're going to notice more energy, better moods. Food is an amazing thing. Y'all eat it. So you will increase those calories to that level for about 4 to 6 weeks. So the rule of thumb is like half of however long you're in the deficit. Take half of that, and that's how long you want to be eating higher calories at maintenance or even above maintenance. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So let's say you did 12 weeks in a calorie deficit. That means 6 weeks of maintenance calories or more. You can always go more. But at least 6 weeks to help get that metabolism back up to where it was so that when you cut again, we now have this time to lose weight before the metabolism adapts again. So, oops, sorry, I bumped my camera. So about 4 to 6 weeks at increased calories, rinse and repeat. You can do that as many times as you need to do that. But what's even better than maintenance level calories is eating just a tiny bit above maintenance. I'm not saying go ham. I'm not saying eat the whole cake. What I'm saying is just a little bit above maintenance, maybe 100, 150, 200 calories over whatever you discover that your maintenance is. It's different for everybody. Average women, maintenance is around 18 to 22 or 2,300 calories is maintenance for an average woman. So if you are living in the 1,500 calorie range, you need to be eating more food and do it for a while before you try a calorie deficit. So you eat above, a little bit above that maintenance. If you are strength training during this time, those calories that you're eating above your maintenance is not going to go to fat. Those calories are going to go to feed the muscle that you're growing. Again, remember, more muscle, faster metabolism. So you want to be eating a little bit over if you can, if you're feeling brave. I know it's a very scary thing for a lot of people, but it's an amazing thing once you see what it does to your body. And you're going to notice, again, more increases in strength. And as you put on some muscle, you're going to notice that your metabolism is going to speed up. You may eventually get to a point where you've put on some muscle and you realize you're losing weight. Why? You're eating the same. How am I losing weight? Well, you gain muscle. You sped up your metabolism. And so you want to eat more food to catch up to that metabolism again, right? So more food, more strength training always lets us up, and eat more food. I do want to say, though, before I go on to my next part, that gaining muscle takes time. Expect to do this for months, okay? A couple of or more months. Most people, what we call it a bulk, In strength training, we call it a bulk, and that's a scary word for women, but all that means is you're eating a little bit over your maintenance calories in order to put on muscle. And when you're in that calorie surplus, most people will do that for like 6 months or so because it's just going right to muscle. So we want a long period of time. This is why women do not need to be scared of getting bulky or looking like a man. I hate that. When they're strength training or when they're putting on muscle. This is something that takes a considerable amount of time. Being worried about getting bulky when you start lifting is like being worried about getting a driver's license because you're scared you're going to become a NASCAR driver. It just simply doesn't happen without effort. So let's stop the myth that lifting makes women bulky. It does quite the opposite, actually. And go lift heavy weights, ladies. So there's my soapbox for this live. So let's get back to it. Remember, more muscle means faster metabolism. So these periods of time where your calories are increased, you should super duper capitalize on those with lifting to put on some more muscle. You will be able to speed up your metabolism, eat more food, nourish your body better with more vitamins and minerals because you're eating more food, and you can still achieve fat loss results. So it is extremely difficult to put on muscle when you're in a calorie deficit. Because remember, we said a minute ago, when you're in a calorie deficit, your body is a very high chance of using some of your muscle for energy. So you're actually usually going to lose muscle when you're in a deficit. However, there is one caveat. There's a thing called newbie gains. I know it's a silly name, but newbie gains. This is when you are first starting out on a good quality strength training program. For about the first 6 months, you will put on muscle even if you're in a calorie deficit. That is a glorious 6 months, and I recommend capitalizing on that 6 months as much as you possibly can. Do not let it slip by because once it's gone, it is gone. I've been lifting for about 5 years now, and as you can see, I am not the Incredible Hulk. Lifting does not make you bulky. And my newbie gains are long gone. Very sad, but very true. It is extremely difficult for me to put on muscle at this stage of the game. But here we are. So, to wrap up, let's reflect. I've gone off on a few random soapbox tangents here. So let's put it in a nice little bow. When we eat in a calorie deficit, our metabolism adapts and it slows down, and we also lose muscle along with the fat, which creates an even slower metabolism. If we stay there for too long, we are digging ourselves a very, very deep hole, and the only way out of that hole is to eat more food and put on a little bit of muscle through strength training, not cardio, strength training. Your best option to avoid this situation, or even avoid a plateau that is so incredibly frustrating, is to cycle your calories. Remember, we said about 8 to 12 weeks in a calorie deficit, and then increase your calories for about 4 to 6 weeks to get that metabolism sped back up, get our strength back, and then you can go back to a calorie deficit. There should be cycles of ups and downs. We should never live life in a calorie deficit. You can be in that calorie surplus or maintenance for longer than 4 to 6 weeks. In my world, more is always better. More food, nourish your body, get great sleep. All of these things are only going to result in an overall healthier body, which is going to make your calorie deficit, when you go into it, a whole lot more successful. So, if you are into podcasts, I mentioned earlier about the Mind Pump podcast. Totally recommend Mind Pump. They have over 1,000, almost 2,000 episodes, I think. Crazy, awesome information, all science-based. I totally recommend them. And what's funny is that just this morning, I was at the gym on the treadmill this morning listening to today's episode, and they had a whole section in the first part of today's episode that talked exactly about this topic. I was like, oh, the timing is perfect for our live today. But if you miss it today, the episode number is 1751, 1751 is the episode number. And it's about an hour and 45 minutes long, but the first like 20 or 30 minutes or so, they spend time talking about this. And it's great information, and they're funny. The guys are really funny. If you've not listened to them before, they're very enjoyable to listen to. So I recommend that. You can get a little more information, a little more sciencey and a little deeper than what I just did, I recommend that episode. Otherwise, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, go ahead and drop those in the comments section below, and I will be happy to answer those, or even make another live on the topic if it's a more in-depth kind of thing. I love hearing from y'all about what topics and what things you want to hear about in these lives. It makes my life so much easier than trying to invent things to talk about. I don't want to guess what you want. I want to know what you want. So let me know in the comments if you have a topic that you would like me to talk about. So have a great rest of your week, and I will catch y'all later.